Should a Christian vote is the question.
You do not represent me. And then, when I look at the legislative policy and worldview of the left,
is one that has the potential to be divisive, but I want it to be uniting. Usually when you talk about religion, that in itself can be divisive. And then if you add something that has a political overtone, you've got the potential for fireworks. And the sermon is very simply, should a Christian vote?
Should a Christian vote? All right. I'm going to answer that question by listening to a video. And by the way, if you have, I got some emails, I got some message about this. We are in a time of the election. There's a lot happening. The tension is high and stuff like that. I don't preach politics here on this channel. I do have a political view and a position. I am not ashamed of saying this. I've said this before in this channel, but I will not be preaching that to you. But here is the thing, though. This is a sermon I would recommend. If you have the question, should a Christian vote? Go listen to Doug Batchelor's sermon, Should a Christian Vote? Is the title of this one. It might answer your question. It might not answer all of them, but it will certainly help out. Okay. Now, you don't have to disagree with my view. You know me, if you know me long enough, all right, I will challenge your perception. I challenge people here because I believe there is no growth in a comfort zone. There is no comfort in a growth zone. We need to be challenged to a degree in order for change to take place, in order for God to work. There are some theories and position that must be poked every now and then. So if you don't know me by now, well, get to know me. So anyway, I will link this video in the description, okay? But I'm not going to speak so much about this video, okay? We're not going to speak so much about this video because that answers the question, should a Christian vote? This video is very interesting. Okay, this is Matt, okay? Matt. Pastor Matt Chandler is going to address both political party, and he's going to say a number of things here. And I can agree with some of what he's saying. I can disagree with some portion of it. I do have a perspective and opinion at the end that I'm going to share with you. I will pause and do a little bit of reaction. I'm going to link his video as well. Okay. Again, you don't have to agree with all that this man is saying. We're doing this for the sake of conversation, to think on these matters, to see what it is we can learn, and the things that we disagree with, we just, hey, spit out the seeds, right? Oh, this is going to be good. Brace yourself. Link in the description below. Like and subscribe to the page. Click the bell icon for more if you happen to be new. Let's get to the video.
the role of the church in any political system, the church and the people of God, we are meant to be a prophetic voice to whoever's in power. This is why you cannot be partisan. Because if you're partisan, you cannot critique with the word of God any individual person or party. So you can have your leanings, but if you are unwilling to critique your person, you're worshiping in the wrong house. I'm just saying, if you've got to make this, because it makes my blood boil when people Messiah-like attributes to this immoral man. It makes my blood boil. He is not Jesus. He will not save. He cannot pull us out of that. And I got some things coming on the left, so everybody calm down.
All right, he's not playing. So that Messiah-like person he's talking about is President Donald J. Trump. Just so you know, I want to make sure you get that. Okay, I just want to put that out there. Anyway, let's keep going. Let's keep going because he's gonna go with it, man.
I love this quote. The church is not to be found at the center of left-right political world. The church is to be a species of its own kind, confounding both the left and right and finding its identity from the center of life. I love that. I want to be confounding to them. I want to be confounding to them. I ain't nobody's boy but his. Like I will not let you loop me into your insanity. I refuse. Okay. I feel deeply torn right now. Let me tell you why. I feel so much frustration at the Republican Party. Did you hear how quiet it just got? Y'all be cheering here in a second. Y'all be cheering here in a second, but right now, let me tell you why. In 1972, go read their charter. Not a single word about God or abortion in there. They were losing elections. They developed a strategy in the 70s to co-opt us and make us their people. They know we're easily manipulated. We are easily worked into a frenzy. We can be controlled by them. And that's what they did. And they are not for us. They do not all believe what we believe. This is a strategy. So I feel used by, when they talk about us and to us, I feel in my guts, like, get my name out of your mouth.
All right, there's some truth to what he's saying, okay, politically speaking, historically speaking. But I think the way he places it is slightly a little wrong. There's an article that's very interesting that you can read. Is on Political. And again, I don't agree with everything Political puts out. All right, they somewhat leaning but there's some truth to this. And what Political is actually examining here, and I can link this if you want this, okay, the real origin of the religious right, kind of where some names begin to come up. Jimmy Carter came up, right? The life of Jimmy Carter. And the reference he's talking about here is the moral majority in 1970. And the effort was for evangelicals to somewhat align a little bit more closely to the Republican Party. And they had reasons for it. Roe v. Wade was already a thing. So the abortion thing is nothing new. It's been a talk. And also Jerry Falwell's other big names were coming up also in that, played a very significant role in changing the political party of the right to be somewhat more religious. Although they had views and perceptions, they were somewhat a-religious at one point, but the political right, the conservative party, let's say the Republican Party for the sake of the discussion, became more religious as a result of this movement, okay, to the evangelical make up the backbone of the pro-life. And again, that is part of it. But the Catholics' involvement also in 1968 added a little bit more to that movement. And again, does that automatically mean is bad? I don't necessarily believe that. It depends how far it goes. Yeah, that's kind of where I stand. I'm going to link this article below. So I think what Matt didn't do correctly, he didn't say who did this. It wasn't like a political movement that went and grabbed the Christians. It was actually the Christian church that went and began to unite with the right wing political system. Now, you can say that's a bad idea. Well, sometimes it is, depending on what they're working on. You got to be careful with jumping ships here, because there are times working with political system for the purpose to bring about something positive in society is a good thing. But there's time it goes too far to the extreme. But I want you to continue to hear his argument.
You do not represent me. And then, when I look at the legislative policy and worldview of the left, I find it morally reprehensible and demonic. I'm not talking about conspiracy theories. I'm talking about legislative action of a worldview that goes back to the gods of the Old Testament. Feeding children to Moloch. Do you know there was a whole pattern? I might be getting into another sermon later, but repetition's good. There was a whole pattern of worship with the Baal and all these other gods where there was all this sexual promiscuity that ended up in all sorts of terrible things. But then that's okay, because you could just feed the god, you could feed your kid to Moloch. You could just go sacrifice your kid on his altar. So be as perverse and dirty and gross as you want, and then whatever comes of that, you don't have to bear that responsibility. Just throw it into the fires of Moloch. Mm-hmm. Like, is that not what's happening right now? And I find the left to be legislating along those lines. They believe that there's a difference between a human being and personhood.
That is a lot of the ways I feel, and I like a lot of Christians feel the same way, right? We look at the right, and we may not all like Donald Trump, and you can say the political right has been corrupted, and the MAGA movement is massive, right? You may not like what they stand for fully, But what the left is pushing is so bad that you're like, I can't go over there either because you guys are worse. So they push the immorality on the left, but on the right, there's immorality, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's written and codified in law, right? It is there, but they seem to be standing for values that are better, right? That are more Christian-like. So you still are thorn between two opinions here. And this is where I'll say be prayerful, be thoughtful, make that decision based on your conviction, of course. I know how he feels, though. But you still have to look at things from a moral perspective because we are Christians at the end of the day, right? So we still got to look at it from that angle. Anyway, let's keep going. He's telling the truth, though.
Do you know what I mean when I say that? Let me tease it out just a little bit. They would acknowledge, yeah, this is a human. This is a human being, but not necessarily a person, and personhood's what matters. They do this for the unborn. They do this more and more towards the elderly and the sick and right? This is a worldview that's incompatible with what we believe as Christians.
Correct.
I don't feel like I'm being political here today. I think they got theological and started this.
Correct. So, yes, the political system do have a theological leaning. As a matter of fact, every policy in and of itself has a level of morality attached to it. That's why you can't just say, well, I'm just doing. First of all, not getting involved to a degree is still getting involved, right? If the only thing necessary for evil to prosper is for good men to do nothing. Now, you got to be careful to what degree and what level. When it comes to policies and morality, there are certain things that you have to look at and think about. And at the same time, we got to keep our eyes on the Lord and understanding where prophecy is going to go. Because no matter what the decision is, ultimately, we know there are certain prophetic events that are going to take place. You can't overlook that. So let's keep listening. He's challenging us here.
Right? Like you want to start talking about the definition of marriage? Well, that's theology. That's not, we're not talking freeways here. I'm not bringing up freeways.
He's right.
Like you're trying to tell me gender doesn't matter. You're pushing sexually explicit perversion on elementary school kids. You have provoked us. I'm not, and some of you right now are like, well, you're a Christian nationalist. Well, I am a Christian and I love our nation. If that makes me that, then you will not gaslight me with that.
All right, I like that. You can love your country and be a Christian. The labels are not always fair, right? And this is not to say you have to approve everything that is Christian nationalist, right? But to love your nation, to seek the prosperity of a nation, I'm going to show you some biblical verses. That's normal. I mean, I'm Haitian. I love Haiti, but I hate what these corrupt politicians in Haiti are doing. But I love the Haitian people, right? I have my Haitian flag. I speak their Haitian. I speak the language, and I eat the food, right? But at the same time, I'm an American. I'm an American by naturalization. I still gotta love this country, but I hate the way they behave. I hate the way those in power that are doing certain things are behaving. Not all of them, of course, but some of them are completely deranged. I mean, they are money hungry, and a lot of them are warmongers, right? So yeah, I may not like certain people, right? But I still live in a country that benefits my family greatly, right? And the same is true for the church. And that's why you got to understand, yeah, you may not agree with everything that's going on in the church, but this is still your church, right? You may not agree with the tares among the wheat, but this is still your church. So you still got to find a way to work with the system and the people within while you are opposing the evil. So it's a challenge for all of us. And it's okay to admit it's not a difficult thing to work through, but that's why I think this conversation is necessary.
That, friend. And maybe you're one of those people like, you shouldn't legislate morality. And I'll tell you, all legislation is moral. Why do we have to withdraw from this conversation?
That is true. All legislation is moral. No matter which legislation you think about, whether it involves houses, whether it is about children, whether it is about school, there is that level of morality attached to it, right? It may not all be biblically based, but the thing is, the fact you have to determine this is good, right? The fact you can say, if I do this, it might be a good idea. That's automatically morality. Automatically that morality, right? If you believe cutting children, butchering children in the womb is good. That's a level of morality. If you believe, fixing the economy is a positive thing, that's already you already dabbling in a level of morality. Yes, because there are certain laws and bylaws and certain policies that have to be that has to be put in place in order for that to be carried out. So you're already dealing with that area. So the thing is, it's not whether or not it's moral, right? Whether or not it is true, it is right. Because if you're dealing with the last 6 commandments that are to be implemented, right? Certain things that's happening in the city and certain things that's happening around you, what's happening in your library, what the children are being exposed to, what's going on in your public schools and stuff like that. There are certain laws that are happening and being written that the Christian men must be aware about because it involves their children and their family. There are certain things that are happening with the tax code. It impacts your mortgage. You can't just sit there and say, oh, it doesn't matter. It does matter. It does matter. You cannot say it doesn't matter. You don't get away from it because you don't like it. Unfortunately, you live in a world and you don't have to be part of the world. You don't have to live in the world, but you are part of this world. And you do have to live in it and make life happen and yet be a Christian. There is a challenge here, and we have to admit to that.
All legislation is moral. Why do we have to withdraw from this conversation? Why are we the only ones being shamed for what we believe?
Be careful. If you got a 501c3, you can't be telling people what to vote and vote for. And he's not doing that. And I know this is a difficult conversation for him because he has to be careful how he manages that.
Like, why is that? No, I can't get myself there as much as I dislike Orange Man Bad. I cannot, like this right here. So here's where I'm going. And I know I'm frustrating some of you, and it's okay. Like I said, Bible's over here. You can just be like, I don't like him. Great, I might not like you. We'll just...
Stop that.
So here's my plan. I'm hoping to look at policy. Now, what makes that difficult, and I don't know if you're paying attention, no one's talking about policy. What are they doing? They're trying to appeal to our emotions and whip us into a fear, anger frenzy. This is a manipulative game that has been used by tyrannical governments across history. Make them angry, make them afraid, they'll do what we want.
I agree. Policies are the things we need to be concerned with at this time. And if a person wants to vote and you can, just don't preach it to the church. Don't evangelize God's people about this. I tell people you have your opinion about certain things. I do as well. I look at policies and laws and I make my decision. Some people can say, I'm not going to vote. It's bad for Christian to vote. That's fine, right? Not voting is still voting, because whatever happens then, you kind of have to live with in a sense. So look at this. So this is Trump policies, right? Agenda 47. Biden has a disaster economy. He plans on fixing that, preventing World War III, new quantum leap to revolutionary and American standard. So there's a video that goes with each one of them. So this is very detailed. It's very interesting reading his policies. He's very, very, he is very transparent about them. I have to give him credit here. Very transparent about his plans and carefully in like a 5 minutes video explaining in details what he's about to do. So these are the plans. Whether you can carry them out, that's a different story. That's a different story. But here's the thing. Kamala Harris only have a few policies. We have no videos. All right. They were written. It looks like it's just a few words here and there. Low energy course or invent Affordable Child Care Act and provide pathway. The details are lacking in these policies. And that's fine. But I'm just saying that's just what it is when it comes to her policies. So a person, you have to look at both candidates and look at their policies and prayerfully consider where the Lord is leading you when it comes to that situation. Whether you should vote or not, I'm not telling you this. That's up to you. Okay? I have a different of opinion about this matter. But look at their policies. Another good website is Council Foreign Relations and is addressing both candidates' policies side by side. And it's not a... So you can look it up as well. That might help a lot of people. The migrant issue, the Gaza issue, the Ukraine. But this addresses more foreign issues, not so much issues that involve Americans. So it's more, these things. And again, so I understand why he is thorn. And this is why I said in the beginning, look at this video by Doug Batchelor, Should a Christian Vote? Because doesn't tell you what to vote for. He tells you how to think about it when you coming to that aspect of voting. And we are in the election year. Some people can agree or disagree with my take. Listen, I welcome your position. Make another video about me. I don't really care. I'm okay with that. I welcome difference of perspective here. You don't have to, I'm my own person. But this is my opinion. I think voting does matter. It is important. But you got to know who you're voting for, why you're voting, and what their laws are. And at the same time, keep an eye on Bible prophecy, because no matter who you vote for, there's some things written in the book of Revelation that are going to take place irrespective of political powers. So let me share a few scriptures here. I could say a lot more, but I think it's best we end this video. So let's open up our Bible app. I want to first talk about the value of prayer for those in political position. So let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 2. And the Bible says, I exhort therefore that first of all supplication and prayers and intercession be given of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for those that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. So pray for those in political powers. Pray for those who are making these decisions. It has an impact on your life. You can't escape that. Now, this is an order that was first set in the church, but you can see it played out in political systems as well. Exodus chapter 18, look at verse 21. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of all the people able men, such men that fear God, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them, and rulers of thousands, and rulers of 100, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. So these individuals were placed as chief over the people. So you can say it's similar to having political leaders as rulers. These were not priests and princes. These were princes. These were chiefs that were set up. Now you can say that's the same policy we find in the church, and also the way it is set up in a miniature format with the elders and the pastors and stuff like that. Yeah, but that same principle is first birthed from the Bible. And the reason that is in the way that you can rightfully divide and address different groups of people, so that not one man is full of all the power and everything like that. So there is that element you find in the way political systems are set up. So God wants men that fear him and men of truth. That's good for the people. If you want justice and peace, you want men in power who are not going to destroy society. So you need to pray for that. You need to pray for that. It's not an evil thing to have good political leaders who are making right decisions. Okay? It's good for Christians. We benefit from this. It's not always a bad thing. Now, here's the thing. There it is. Seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace, thereof, shall you have peace. Yeah, man. So if there's peace in the land, we can have peace. But we do know, the Bible said, we shall cry peace and safety, but destruction will come eventually. But you want to seek for it, though. Seek peace and pursue it, the Bible tells us. So you want to seek the best of your nation. And this was Babylon. They were going to Babylon, and they yet needed to pray that the Babylonian Empire prospered, because they were going to live in it. They're going to have children in it. So we are in these United States, and you might be living somewhere else around the world. You need to pray for your leaders. Seek the peace of that nation, we are told. Because if there's peace in your land, there's peace in your life as well. So it is important, somebody. It is important. Last but not least, Isaiah chapter 1. And I think this is crucial for me when it comes to policies and morality. It says, learn to do good, seek judgment, we are told, relieve the oppressed, judge the fatherless, and plead for the evil, for the widow. We are told, come now, let us reason together, save the Lord. So there is this idea that the Christian, this is real biblical justice here. So when you look at a party, you look at how they're behaving, how they're treating people, you can kind of tell who is standing for who and who is not standing for who. I think any party who is promoting a high degree of immorality on biblical policies, I will never stand with. So the ones who might be promoting some things that are not perfectly aligned with the scripture, but yet at the heart of it, there is some decent elements and stuff. You just gotta make that decisions accordingly. So I can say a lot more, but I think it's best we end this video. Where do you stand about voting? Do you think Christians should vote? Do you think we should stay apolitical, have nothing to do with it? I would like to hear from you. I have my perspective. You don't have to agree with me, friends. You don't have to agree with me. This is my opinion. Please respect it. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye.